There has been a lot of discussions about Keegan Peterson's selection in the setup and possibly him being the one that's going to be starting in Test cricket. There's been a lot of talk about that from Dean Algo, saying that Keegan Peterson will most likely be the guy that fills in that number 3 spot for South Africa, taking over from a guy like Faf, Amla, so many guys in the past that have batted there for South Africa. There's going to be a lot of talk about who should actually be taking those spots in Test cricket. Number 3, 4, and 5 specifically, we want to be talking about today. So I'm gonna bring up the stats. I'm gonna bring on guests on the show as well to come chat to me about it, and we're gonna really go into depth about who deserves to actually be there. And I'm talking about that positions from number 3 to number 5. Who should be the batsmen that should be batting there? Why were the selectors choosing the guys that they have chosen? And do they actually deserve to be in the squad, the guys that are currently there? So all of that we're going to be talking about on the show, and I'll bring the guests on next. Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket as per usual. I've got Aditya on the screen with me, and I've also got Tshepo with me. He's actually the guy that did this amazing intro for this particular one. We've got 2 that we've played so far on the show. The one that we played today, that's the one that Tshepo created. So thanks a lot, Tshepo, for doing that for us. I have to give you the props for that. It's excellent intro. So we're going to go straight into this. First and foremost, I have to say congratulations to Chelsea for winning the Champions League.
The champs of Europe. Yes. I just want to celebrate that. It was a comprehensive victory, but don't want to spend too much time there. I had my fun in the sun on the weekend, but yeah, I'm keen to chat about the cricket now.
Yeah, of course. And Aditya, I let the guys in on why you were missing for a couple of shows. I said that you wait for your shot. I don't know if you're fine with me telling them that, but I had to tell them that. So a lot of the guys said on last night's show, a lot of them were saying, "I hope you get better. Good luck," and even Aaron himself also saying, "I hope you get better quickly." You look a lot happier. I love that you're smiling.
Yeah, everyone get vaccinated, please, when you get the opportunity. It's very important.
Yeah. Can you give the guys some insight into what that journey's been like for those last 2 days, since the vaccination?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, at the outset, I'm going to clarify that it's a very individual experience. So don't think that this applies to everyone across the board. I took the vaccine that's called Covishield, made by Oxford University and AstraZeneca. And when I took it, I was fine. There was basic soreness on the day. And following that night, I had chills and I had fever through the day with a body ache. But subsequently, it started getting better. But in saying that, I encourage everyone to get vaccinated when they have the opportunity in India and worldwide. So do it, guys.
I'm still waiting for us youngsters to be able to go get the vaccine. We're still waiting for that to happen. Currently, it's only the older people that can go for their vaccines. So hopefully, and obviously healthcare workers, of course. So yeah, we're still waiting for our chance at Tshepo.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while as well. But hey, when our time comes, I'm going to be in front of those lines. I'm going to be waiting for that vaccination, just to set my mind at ease.
Of course, yeah, guys, smash that subscribe button, click that notification bell for all future videos as well, guys. And also smash that like button too, and share this to everybody that you know that loves cricket in South Africa, because we're trying to grow the love of South African cricket, and that's what we're going to be doing on this platform. So let's get into it. First and foremost, I just want to get all of this talk around KP out the way. KP, I feel 100% deserves his spot in this test setup. And the reason I say this is because for the last 6 years, KP's been in the top run scorers in South African cricket, domestic cricket. Now I'm going to read some of his stats out for you guys. So I'm going to start from 2015 2016, right? He had an average of 49. He scored 204 50s. He scored 637 runs that year in 9 games. He dipped in the season thereafter, and this is something that I've noticed in KP's game. Sometimes he does dip a little bit, and he dipped in 2016 2017. He had an average of 33.15, and he didn't score a century that season. But the following season, he came back strong again with 683 runs at an average of 45.53 with 2 centuries and 4 50s. And then the 2018-19 season is where he really stamped his authority. In 13 games, this includes obviously for SAA as well, I think, he scored at an average of 57.40. He scored 1,263 runs. He scored 4 centuries and 7 50s. People were very surprised that he didn't get his chance in that particular season. They gave the nod to Zubair Hamza shortly after. He was the next one in line after Amla. And then in 2019-20, in 7 games, he scored 412 runs and averaged 51.50 with a century and a 50. And then in the 2021 season, he averaged 44 with a century and 2. And he scored 173, a massive 173 at his new franchise. So he's been consistently around that high 40s, 50s mark for South African cricket, and also batting at number 3. Now, guys, I know a lot of you are calling for Kyle Verreynne to bat at number 3, and I love Kyle Verreynne to bits, and he's one of my favorite players. He's really come on leaps and bounds, but he doesn't bat that high for his domestic team. So to put him in a test match where he's already not familiar for that position, and asking him to take the responsibility of batting in the top order, I think that's a lot to ask for a young player. Because I think Kyle is the type of guy that needs to come in at number 6 for now and really stamp his authority. I think he can bat 5 too, but I think they should give that responsibility to Quinton de Kock and the more senior guys and get the youngsters in to come at 6. So I think Kyle should bat at 6. 100% I believe that. And that's what I currently think, that he should get the opportunity. But then you'll have to drop someone. So currently, I think Keegan Peterson comes in for that vacant spot at number 3 because we've struggled to fill that spot after Amla left. I mean, some guys, Rassie played there, and Faf played there, and AB obviously tried to play there a couple of seasons ago. So they've struggled to replace that number 3 spot. Keegan comes in naturally at the number 3 spot. Now comes the question in who gets left out for that Kyle position. And that's something that we need to speak about, and whether he should get the spot. Now, to help us a little bit, because I'm going to get Aditya's thoughts and then we go straight on to Tshepo, I'm going to bring on a graphic, and you guys can speak about this graphic and then basically answer my question. But currently, this is the last 3 seasons in domestic cricket in South Africa. We see Reiner van Tonda's name on here with 19 games. In 35 innings, he scored at an average of 57 and obviously at a strike rate of 51.3, and then 4 centuries and 11 50s. Excellent return from the youngster. And he's batted at opening and he's batted at number 3 for the Knights, respectively. Verreynne, 22 matches in a completely different environment. The average is 60, of course, but he batted at 5 for the Cobras, if I remember correctly, 5 and 6 for the Cobras, and 61.39 and 12 50s and 4 centuries. In fact, Kyle only started scoring his centuries around last season. That's when he really started taking his game to the next level and converting. Peterson, 22 matches, he's batting at number 3, 51.22 and 4 centuries and 7 50s. So, I mean, there's not much between these 3 batsmen if you look at it. And ultimately, it's about which position they bat in. So let's start with you, Aditya. Your thoughts on the stats that I showed, your thoughts on Keegan Peterson coming into the lineup, and your thoughts on what should happen with that top 3 to 5 positions in South African cricket in the test side.
Right. A couple of things. So one is obviously all 3 have have shown their mettle in domestic cricket. All three have impressive stats, but it looks like Keegan Peterson deserves that spot just because of how long he's been in the wings and the fact that he's the more experienced top order batsman of the lot. In saying that, we also need to realize that there's just one spot in the batting order that needs to be filled. Dean Nelga is captain, he picks himself. Aiden Markram picks himself. Rassi picks himself. Temba is vice captain, he's going to be there in the team. Quinton de Kock picks himself. That leaves us with one spot in the batting order. And Elga indicated in his press conference that that's likely to be Keegan Peterson. The question for me is that where will they bat Keegan Peterson? Because we have we have the number 4 spot that's free as of now. Rassi's been batting in 3, but for Keegan's sake, I think Temba should bat at 4, and Keegan should come in at maybe 5 or 6. Because you look historically at great batters who've played Test cricket. Sachin Tendulkar, Ricky Ponting, they all started their career at 6. Where they have a little bit of that cushion from the top order. Where they don't have to handle that pressure straight away. And then once they get more experience, they start producing runs more consistently. They bat up the order. You look at Faf, he started batting at number 6, number 7 in his debut match. He batted at number 7. And then obviously he moved on to 3, 4, and 5 over the years. So I think that's certainly something the management should consider with Keegan, because you don't want Keegan Peterson coming into bat at 30 for 2 in his first Test match. That's asking for too much from a young player. And no matter how well he's done in domestic cricket, international cricket is a different beast. The intensity is different. And there's, when you have 5 other established players, you can offer Keegan Peterson that cushion to really settle into the team and, calm the nerves a bit, and then ultimately get that confidence and start producing those runs. But in my view, Keegan Peterson should be batting at number 5, Quinton at 6, and you have Dean Elgar, Hayden Markram, Rassi Vanderson, and Temba Bavuma at the top 4.
There's Tshepo, what do you think about what Aditya said? But also, there's a lot of scrutiny and pressure on Temba Bavuma to perform in the Test arena, especially in that position. He's batting very low down the order, so people expect a lot of him. Yes, in Pakistan he was good. Yes, he's shown that he can perform under pressure when the chips are down. He's done it in England. He's done it in India. In Sri Lanka as well. So he's been consistent with it when we need him in pressure times. But then again, when we aren't really under pressure, he might not have performed as well as maybe people believe that he should. What is your thoughts on that? And where would you bat Keegan roundabout?
As Aditya was saying, you don't want to put too much pressure on the incoming batsman. So Keegan or Kyle Verreynne, depends on who you're going to bring into the conversation. But I think Keegan would be the better option because he's been in the wings for so long. And in terms of development, I feel that we take too long to sort of get new players in, or maybe pick the right players. The likes of, I feel like personally, Kyle Verreynne has been waiting the wings for quite a while. In the last series against Pakistan, he showed that, well, he scored a 50 in the only game he played, and then he didn't get another opportunity. So it's difficult not to feel hard for most of the youngsters that have been showing their mettle in the domestic setup, but just not given as much opportunity. So there's a lot of pressure there. And in terms of the batting order, as low as possible, but not lower than Quinton de Kock. Quinton de Kock must come in just before the all-rounders, because I'm a believer in the phrase, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. So Quinton de Kock, we shouldn't shuffle him further than number 6. He was fantastic at number 7, and him coming in at that point of the innings is great. So the top 5 would basically be Dean Elgar, Aiden Markram, Rassi Vanderson, Temba Bavuma at 4, who really needs to cement his spot. in some people's minds, if you think about it. I mean, he did very well in Pakistan. He has tons of form, tons of confidence going into the series. So yeah, I don't see why Temba Bavuma is like in this conversation of does he need to prove himself? He's proven himself. We're not going to change Temba Bavuma anytime soon unless he's injured. So he's basically set and secure. And for the sake of the team, for the sake of the team structure, he needs to be in the setup. And then after that, either Keegan Peterson or Kyle Verreynne. But I believe that if we decide on someone, they need to play both games in the West Indies. They need to play all 4 innings. There shouldn't be half and half. You only play one test match. You only play one test match. What if it wasn't their day? And then, boom, the opportunity's gone. And then someone with the quality of Keegan Peterson, who you've said his stats, he doesn't need to prove himself on the domestic front anymore. He's losing yet another opportunity. So it's all about giving him time in that position. And then just one more thing, he needs time. I mean, look at the likes of Aiden Markram, who has constantly been averaging very, very low in Test cricket. Only as early as or as late as this year has he really started to show his quality. So it would be great if Keegan could hit the ground running, but I mean, this is Test cricket. This isn't domestic cricket, as Aditya was saying. There is a big difference, and they need time to adjust to it. But it's up to the selectors to decide how much time is appropriate. But yeah, it's all about balance. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. I feel like if they do decide to put Keegan down the order and let him come in down the order in his debut, I'll feel a little bit hard done by. I'll feel a little bit hard done by because, especially when it comes to Zubair Hamza, I think he should feel a little bit hard done by. Actually, not me, but I would say that because Zubair Hamza, they actually threw him in the deep end completely. I mean, in India he did well, and against Pakistan he did well here, and in India he did well. He was the only person to really score a decent score there in India. Against Pakistan, yeah, he did okay on his debut. But then again, they threw him in the deep end when it comes to England. You saw what England did with Pope. They brought him in at number 6, allowed him some time to settle in, and allowed him to show what he's capable of with no pressure on him. They put the pressure on the senior players. Now, if Bavuma said in an interview with us that he wants to take more responsibility, then he needs to do this. He needs to step up and say, look, yeah, I need to bat higher up the order. Where I bat for my domestic setup. Where I bat in the domestic setup. Where I bat for my domestic team. He's batting with someone that he's used to batting with at domestic level, someone in Rassi, someone that he knows very well. They should bat in their positions that they bat for their, why not, for their franchise. Temba could come in even at 3, and Rassi could drop down to 4. Between the two of them, they can shuffle around, depending on the match situation. And I think that it's something that they need to discuss. The senior players need to step up in this match. Otherwise, what are you doing in the squad? That's my. What are you doing in the side if you're not going to take responsibility as a senior player right now? I think right now in South African cricket, especially in Test cricket, I think that there is no time better than now for them to blood young players in. We are struggling to find those next generational talents that can come straight into the lineup. There are a lot of guys knocking on the door, but we are lacking the experience in this Test side. So the Test guys that are currently here, Temba, KG, obviously Dean Algar. I throw KG in there not by age, but by experience of Test caps. And Quentin de Kock, those guys need to now step up because Rassi might be experienced with age, but with regards to Test cricket, he's not. I mean, he hasn't had the best Test career. That's why I said if anybody was going to fall out of the squad first, it would most likely have to be Rassi based on time, last one in, basically, first one out kind of situation. If in Test cricket, if you're going to look at it, then maybe Temba Bavuma, and then you can maybe say someone else can fall out of that, but there's not a lot. There's no one extra left. I mean, I don't think they're ever going to drop Quentin de Kock, no matter what his form is. And if you look at Quentin de Kock's current form, it hasn't been great for South Africa. So if you want to drop someone, like Temba, who is actually currently in form. Both Pakistan series is performed relatively well, if averaging 15 both series. So it's something that is it's very puzzling to me that you want to drop him at this particular time, especially when we're going into the new regime with South African cricket. We know that
Mm.
we are going into a new era of South African cricket, and we need all the experience that we can have in that side. To blood too many young talents in at once is also very, very dangerous to do, especially in Test cricket. I don't mind them trying to do that in ODI cricket currently with us building towards the 2023 World Cup. I think there we can give as many youngsters opportunity as possible. But in T20s right now and in Test cricket, we need to find our best teams.
Mm.
We're running out of opportunities for our youngsters to be able to get opportunities to play against the best nations, to get that experience and learn it in the middle. I think that we're going to run out of those opportunities because, I mean, initially when Amla was on the brink of retiring and on the brink and those things were happening, we didn't bring in youngsters quick enough. When AB and Amla and Vernon and Dale and all of them were still around in the squad, we didn't bring them in quick enough, especially under Otis Gibson. I think a lot more youngsters could have been given opportunities. When we think about dropping the first person, I mean, okay, Rassi also had a good series in Pakistan. I wouldn't drop Rassi either. I think that, like Aditya said, there's only one big particular spot available in the side. It's just about who they're going to give it to. Do they currently South Africa sits in this position in all formats? Do we give experience and experience and opportunity to guys that have done it for have fought long and hard in domestic cricket, or do we give it to a youngster that has performed well over the last 3 or 4 years? That's the current thing that they are battling with currently, and now you can see it when they're doing their selections, especially when we saw in the T20 arena. They were struggling to understand, should we give it to a a youngster coming through the system that has the potential to become great, or do we give it to an older guy that has really worked hard for long? Rassi is an example, exception to the rule as well. Peter Malan was an exception as well, coming in immediately as an experienced player. If you're going to go with experience, I strongly believe that your experience needs to hit the ground running immediately. We can't be faffing around with a guy that's going to take 5, 6 games to settle in and score runs. He either has to hit the ground running from the get go, or he needs to leave. We can't be giving experienced guys an opportunity where a youngster could have learned much more from those failings than a senior guy. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation, right? I think selection is obviously the hardest job in cricket, and it's a thankless job because you're essentially working on probabilities. No one can guarantee performance. Uh, what I think South Africa needs to do is probably look at how India has blooded youngsters over the years. India managed that transition from the time that Sachin Tendulkar, Rahul Dravid, VVS Lakshman, and so on retired, and they were able to get in Virat Kohli, Cheteshwar Pujara, Rohit Sharma, and so on. And you know, from my memory at that time, there were certain series where they rest the senior players and give these guys an opportunity. And then there were other times when they play a full strength squad. So somewhere along the lines of that, South Africa needs to find a balance between playing its full strength squad and giving young players an opportunity. Because what's happened right now is that South Africa have been inconsistent, and more than anything, their priority needs to be on winning series. They've unfortunately for South Africa, they've also been losing series at home, which doesn't help. So for now, the priority has to be building confidence and finding the winning formula again. And once that is set, then they can perhaps look at some sort of a rest and rotation policy whereby senior players who are confident and have been informed are perhaps rested for a game or two, and you give a younger player a chance so that when that transition happens again, South Africa are not really caught wanting like they have been over the past, you know, 5, 6, 7 years. So that's something that they need to look at. But in saying that it's a difficult job to do, but right now I would want to see South Africa really get back to winning ways more than anything.
Yeah, Chepo. I want you to just touch a little bit more on Temba, because I think there's pressure on Temba as well to perform, and I think that there should be a similar standard that is in the side of excellence that they need to have within the side. That if you don't perform well, you need to be dropped, and sometimes it helps. I mean, Temba was dropped. In fact, not so long ago, he was dropped, and then he went back to domestic cricket and scored 180, and then he got selected again. So there are periods where that has happened. Um, I don't think we'll truly know what Temba can do until he bats higher up the order in Test cricket. And that's when we really know what he's capable of. And if he doesn't perform, then we have to think about it and really think hard about what we're going to be doing. And because it's not a transformation thing, it's not a quota thing. Because I was told by the selectors as well when I spoke to them, we haven't been meeting the quota requirement, especially in Test cricket. We haven't been picking the numbers have been skewed for a long time. They've been making it up in T20 cricket and in ODI cricket over the last couple of years. They've been making up the numbers. Because remember, guys, the quota system works over a period of a year. From the 1st of Jan till the end of December. So they take it over a whole period of time and work out the selection process from then. So I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was in when India was here back in 2017, I think it was Aditya, when I met you. That particular T20 series, they had about 7 or 8 players of color in the team, because they were trying to make up the numbers for that particular side. So in the Test arena, they've been looking to win, and it just hasn't come their way, especially because there were a couple of guys all form at the same time, which doesn't always help. But Tshepo, just add to that your thought process on whether what I'm saying is correct or you disagree.
So I understand where you're coming from. You sort of have to maintain excellence, get the best 11 on the field whenever you get the chance. But the thing about Temba Bavuma is, you said it yourself, as soon as he gets dropped and he plays domestic cricket, he smashes 180 and you're like, oh, the kid's actually still got it. He's actually not a bad batsman. So, like, what do you do with a player that is too good for domestic, but not quite like cutting it on the international stage? And I don't think an inconsistent like fixture run is a good idea. I think the best thing in that situation is to build confidence, and nothing will build more confidence than saying, look, no matter, like, just go out there and play as well as you can. There's no one that we can find that's better than you. And honestly, can we find anyone better than Temba Bavuma that we don't have to sort of build and sort of give time to? So, like, why go through that building process and sort of waste Temba Bavuma's talents like in the domestic setup, instead of just having faith in him for this time? I mean, he's got the quality. He shows it on the domestic scene. So he doesn't. I don't feel now in this part of Temba's career he needs to prove himself anymore. He's shown that he's good enough. It's just that he needs to sort of kick on, take it to the next level. And I believe that an inconsistent, or at least if he thinks that his position is on the line, I don't see that doing his confidence any favors, in my opinion. And it also messes up the solidity or the structure of the team setup, because obviously he's more than just a batsman. He's an impeccable fielder, and his leadership qualities, like, he's the captain of his domestic franchise. So he offers way more than just with the bat, and for that reason he's undroppable. And as Aditya is saying, we need to start winning games, and shuffling now I don't think is the best way to go about it. I think a tentative approach where we sort of find quality players, give them a chance in that one vacant spot that we have right now. Give Peterson a chance, give Arena a chance, see what they can do. And then if they continuously show that they have the quality, on the test stage, then we can start talking about, okay, now Themba Bavuma, now your place is up for grabs. Now you need to watch yourself. I don't think anyone really on the test stage can push Themba Bavuma out of his spot. And the only way we'll find out is if they prove it on the international stage, because domestic numbers, like, they matter. They don't count. Aiden Markram, another example, he struggled on the international stage, but then when he plays the domestic scene, he's scoring hundreds like it's a game. So, yeah, there's that limbo where you're too good for domestic, but you're not quite in the international scene, or as good for the international team. And in that situation, I think the best thing to do is give those players time to develop, because they are the best that we have. It's undeniable. It's clear. Proof is in the pudding and all that jazz.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that Bavuma does deserve an opportunity to prove himself in the number 4 position, in the senior role in the side, with that type of responsibility, because Themba has proven that in the past, his best time that he performs is under pressure, and that's the thing. And that's the thing that I really like about Themba, is that he performs when the pressure is on him, especially as well as when he plays for his domestic side. I mean, he's been the captain of the Lions for quite some time, and he's been excellent for them as well in domestic cricket. I mean, that's the thing that we need to be talking about. Aditya, your thoughts on Themba?
There's no doubt he's an excellent player, but what I have seen of him is that I think certainly in his initial years, he has struggled a bit. Apart from that one century that he's got and a couple of 90s, he was unlucky to miss out on hundreds. I think in that game in Johannesburg against Australia. So it's a combination of factors, where he's been in situations where he's had to protect the lower order, and in doing that, he's sort of had to sacrifice that personal milestone, which is unfortunate. In saying that, I'd really like to see Themba Bavuma, the Test cricketer, succeed. I want him to do well, because I think he's an excellent batsman. But in saying that, I think it's also time for Themba and perhaps the people around him to think out of the box a little bit. How can Themba Bavuma, the Test cricketer, actually improve? Is it by batting at number 4? Sure, that's one way of doing it. What are other ways that he can improve? Because what we're seeing is, as Tshepo said, that there are cricketers who are too good for domestic cricket, but they're not quite there at the international level just yet. So how can we bridge that gap? One thing I'd like to see Themba do is perhaps play in the English county for a while. That may help his game a bit. There are so many cricketers out there who've really come back to their national setups and contributed greatly after having a successful season or two in the English county. Who knows? That may spark a revival in Themba's fortunes, and I hope that it's something that he considers, because what's happening right now is that valuable time is being wasted. He made his debut in 2014, and since then he's made 100. That's not a good enough return for a player of his caliber. So he does need to think of something that's beyond what he's doing currently. And if the team management gives him an opportunity at number 4 for the West Indies series, we'll see how it goes. But over the long term, I think Themba really does need to think out of the box a bit, and maybe consider playing overseas, in a completely different environment where the spotlight isn't on him, where he isn't worried about, the captaincy responsibility of South Africa, or, the constant talk of quotas and transformation, and, what role he plays in the team. When he goes to an English county, I think he'll be a lot more relaxed. He'll be playing in an environment that he's totally unfamiliar in. So going out of your comfort zone is always good for a player. And if Themba can sort of find himself there, and he plays a season or two in the English county, I'm sure that he'll come back a better player.
But how much time does he have to actually do that? He's not exactly a spring onion here. He has some. How much time does he have? Isn't he like 30 years old now?
He's 31, yeah.
Yeah, so if he goes to the county setup, he should probably go. I remember Faf du Plessis was he took a Colpack deal for about 2 years and then came back, started off a bit slow, and then all of a sudden, hey, bro, this guy's actually pretty good. So and that didn't literally it didn't like just take a short amount of time. It takes some time to sort of think out the box. But you're right. I think the way Temba Bavuma has been going about things, or maybe the situations that he's been in, always having to be at the bottom order after a collapse and always having to consolidate an innings, sort of stifled his growth, stifled his career. He could have had more centuries if he batted up the order, as you said. So maybe it's a difficult situation to be in. It's difficult to really look at Temba Bavuma's stats and be like, this is a proper reflection of his career. So yeah, time up the order, I think, would be the best that we can do in this situation. Um, and that should be the closest thing, or that would probably be the best thing for not only his confidence, but as you say, like a new challenge, a new way to step up, give him more responsibility up the order, and chances are, in those positions, he'll do better. Um, I believe he did bat earlier in the order in Pakistan, but I'll quickly go check there just to make sure I'm right. But with Pakistan,
Batted five.
like he should.
Batted
Oh, he
five.
batted 5. Okay, that's normally
Because
his position. So
It
yeah.
was Dean, Aiden, Rassi, Faf,
Rassi.
Temba.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
So he,
Yeah.
he did bat at 5. But look, I think that's the challenge with Temba, right? What's happening is that in South Africa, he doesn't have access to batting friendly wickets. Over the years, if you look at home test series, they've they've been won because of what the bowlers have done for South Africa. You look at the Otis Gibson era. They've produced demons, and they've won games, but that's mainly because of bowlers. The batters have struggled, and that has played a role in batters not having enough confidence to bat long and score big runs overseas. Now, whether there's going to be a change in the nature of pitches in South Africa, it's hard to tell. We don't know, but there has to be something has to give. South African batsmen need to get in the habit of scoring big hundreds again. And since we're talking about Temba, look, I don't know how many days of international cricket Temba plays each year. I don't know if that stat is out here, but he doesn't play any of the T20 leagues. He doesn't play the IPL, the Big Bash, the PSL, the CPL, or any of that. So I think that compared to players who do that, he's got considerably more time to be able to dedicate to the English county circuit. And I think given that he's 31, there's no better time for him to do that, because if he does it next year, we don't know. He's at 32. You're heading into the wrong side of the 30s. So my view is that if Temba needs to be batting at 4, if that doesn't work out, he should consider going to the county circuit for sure.
No one should be, in my eyes, I always believe in sport, no one should be undroppable. That's what I've believed for a very long time. I mean, we did this about talking about Quinton de Kock. I know that Quinton de Kock is an excellent batsman, but when he was going through that bad spell, maybe a time on the sidelines would have been good for him. The same thing I feel for Bavuma. If he's not performing well, and there's other guys knocking on the door that should be able to get opportunities, you can't be ignoring a guy like Reinhard van Tonder if he's going to be averaging at 60 every single season. I think that 2 seasons is a little bit too premature for Reinhard, even though I know him, even though I know and I want the best for him always, and he knows that. I mean, and even though I think that he is going to be an excellent player for South Africa one day, I think that 2 seasons in domestic cricket is maybe a little bit premature for you to just throw someone into a test arena at the highest level and expect him to take all that pressure on, especially when there's no experienced guys around him ready to push him on, besides Dean Algo. And maybe if you take Temba out, then there's only one experienced guy in that whole team. to actually pull that dressing room together. Then if he's getting dropped, for example, for someone like Reiner van Tonder, like I saw suggested in the comments over here, I think we need to start playing players in position, giving them the opportunity to be able to play that, and to be that, and to show what they can do in their positions that they've been playing in all their life. I mean, 6 and 3 is very different. 6 and 4 is very different in Test cricket. You're asking them to do completely two different roles almost in a way, because a lot of the times also Bavuma was batting with Quinton de Kock. Quinton de Kock loses his wicket quickly and Bavuma still in, he's batting with a tail. Because South Africa haven't had the best of number 7s in the past as well. So it's not like he's batting with a person at the end that you could say like, wow, that was at one occasion with Tianis de Brain in Sri Lanka where they were this excellent, the two of them. And obviously there's been a lot of times where Bavuma and Quinton de Kock have put on excellent partnerships in saving South Africa against Australia and so many other teams. People talk about Bavuma's average of wait, let me just see what people are saying here about Bavuma averages less than 40 even in first class cricket. Let me bring the stats for you guys because you might be a little bit shocked by what I tell you. If you guys are looking at Crick Info stats, I want you guys to please take note of something when it comes to stats. And I'm not sitting here. You guys are always thinking that I'm trying to defend people. I just don't like people talking, not giving the right information out there. That's all I want. If you're going to look and judge, then judge properly. I'm going to go to his first class stats. On Crick Info, they mix his provincial stats with his first class record. They don't look at franchises alone. They look at the entire, so that for every single franchise that he played, as well as provinces, semi-pro cricket as well. It's mixed all into one. Temba Bavuma's record for the Lions alone is 43.62. He scored over 3,000 runs for the Lions alone. And it's actually his average when he was at Gauteng that is making his first class average on Crick Info drop. So when you look at his 58 matches for the Lions, he's averaged at 43.62. So that's actually his average that you need to be looking at when you are going to take his average into consideration, just to give you guys some point. That is yes, I said I'm bringing the semi-pro stats because semi-pro level is not the same as for franchise cricket. It's completely two different levels. There's guys that have been excellent at semi-pro cricket, have scored tons and tons of runs, and they come to franchise cricket and they flop. So it's a similar jump up. Okay, not really, but it's like a jump between semi-pro and first class cricket. There's a jump there of intensity, and there's a bigger jump from first class cricket to test cricket. So you need to look at all of that as well. Take that into account. But guys, yeah, let's end it there. I think it's a hearty conversation. We maybe can pick it up again. We will probably pick it up again when we come closer to the time and see what happens with training and everything. And we're going to be having a massive preview show. We've got a special guest that's coming on the show. That's going to be coming on our review shows, and on our preview show, and hopefully some of our review shows as well, consistently throughout the test series for the West Indies. We will be doing that review show, I think, on the 9th. We decided on the 9th, the day before the test. I'm hoping Tshepo is available to come on that show as well. And let's get the whole panel on and we can have a proper discussion on what we're going to do in that first test against West Indies. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. Please click subscribe. Please click that notification bell for all future videos. And smash that like button, please. Do your comments in the comment section and share it on all your social media platforms. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. Take care, everybody.